My name is Caleb Webster Alt. Course title is FTT-100 52238. Introduction to Firearms. Project is Week 7 assignment. I will begin by showing/verifying that my workspace is clear of any live ammunition. As you can see, this is just cleaning supplies, lubricants, patches, stuff like that. I will then move on to my chosen firearm, and I will also go about showing how to clear that properly. So to begin, always keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction. After that, we will also make sure to keep your fingers off of the trigger. So cradle the gun safely, remove this magazine. I will then show that the magazine is also clear of any live ammunition, and I will place it to the side. Now, in additional safety, we can also take this safety lever, force it in the down position to ensure that this gun is safe. We will also manipulate it. I will visually check the bore. Bore is clear. I will visually check the chamber. Chamber is clear. I will then manipulate it several times to make sure it is clear. It is clear. So to begin, let's go over the cycle of operations. So in my opinion, if we were to pretend that there's a magazine in this gun, feeding does not begin until you were to pull this bolt to the rear. That is when the magazine is allowed to force the cartridge up into the chamber. Feeding ends when you manipulate this bolt to the forward position. So if we were to do so, let's say feeding ends, we are now going to begin chambering. That cartridge has been chambered. Chambering ends when we manipulate the bolt again. That is when locking begins. Locking has begun. Locking ends when we start the firing. Now, I am not going to fire this gun because I don't dry fire my firearms, but if we were to pretend, let's pretend, bang, we pull the trigger, it fires. We can then say that the firing stage has ended. We can now go on to the unlocking. So, unlocking begins when you manipulate this bolt in the upward position. Unlocking has ended as soon as you start to pull the bolt in the rearward position, which is called extracting. Extracting is over as soon as the empty case in the chamber has ejected. So, extracting/ejecting is happening now. Ejecting has begun. Ejecting ends when it is cocked. It is also cocked simultaneously while that is happening, which you can then chamber the next round and lock it in place. So that is the cycle of operations. We will then begin by field stripping the firearm. So all you got to do to field strip this gun is to unlock it, pull the bolt to the rear, safely depress the trigger, take the safety off first, so put that in the upward position, depress the trigger, and the bolt falls out. Place that to the side. We are now left with just the rifle itself. To name any components, this bolt, as well as this magazine, all play a role in the cycle of operations. This magazine plays a role in the feeding, and this bolt plays a role in every other stage besides the firing, which the trigger grouping is what plays a role in the firing. Other than that, there are no other parts on this firearm to discuss, really. Pretty simple operation. For part 2, I will then demonstrate the proper firearm cleaning procedure to perform on a bolt-action rifle. So to begin, let's unravel our cleaning rod. We will then take a patch and attach that to the tip. We will then run it. Actually, let's run it through the bore end first. Now, we are going to take some carbon destroyer, which has been supplied. You're going to dabble some of this on this cotton swab. Not too much, just enough. You're then going to take your T-handle, attach it to this point. Make sure the gun is in a straight linear path with the cord so that you don't damage the rifling, and pull that patch through. Then we are now going to quickly remove that patch, throw that to the side, and we will attach our copper brush. Throw that on quickly, remove our little T-handle, throw that to the side, and we will then put this. This is hard for me to show you guys on camera, so I'm doing it like this, but I will bring it back up. Copper brush is now in place. We will then take our little T-handle again, attach it into here. Make sure you're going to be pulling in a straight path with the bore. Don't be pulling at an angle because you could damage the crown, of course. And pull it all the way up and out. We will then repeat that 3 more times, or once more, I mean. So we're going to place on our little patch loop. Take a patch. Take some carbon destroyer. We'll take our T-handle again, and we'll run this through the bore. We are then going to detach the loop, the patch loop, replace it with the copper brush again, and force this through the bore of the rifle. Attach our T-handle back to our pull cord. Make sure the gun is facing upwards in a linear path. Pull straight up. I drop my handle. We will then now run a dry patch through the bore to ensure that there is no more debris in there, as well as cleaning out any extra solvents that have been left behind. Dry patch is now in position. Grab your T-handle, pull straight up in a linear path. The patch has come out relatively clean, so that's a good sign that we can now move on to putting a oiled patch through the bore. And for that, we will be using also SAO, what's been supplied. So we're going to apply a thin coat of this to the patch. Just enough to get it on all four sides of the patch so that it makes contact with the whole bore. Pull straight up in a linear path. And now the bore has been properly lubricated. We can now move on to cleaning the bolt. So we will put the gun off to the side for now. We will start with just drying it off to make sure that any residue on it has been taken off that's on the surface. Throw the rag to the side. Then you're going to take your nylon brush and you're going to take your carbon destroyer and you're going to put a light coat on the entire bolt. So you're going to put some up here, some on the face of the firing pin, even on the cam. You're going to be making a little mess when you do this, so just be prepared for that. And thoroughly brush it in the places that are needed. The bolt body, you're going to really want to get your locking lugs real good, as well as the face of the bolt. Get in there. You're going to want to then come back to your cam, get in all these grooves, clean this thoroughly. You will then grab the rag, dry your hands, and then dry the bolt completely. Get all this cleaning residue off of here. We will then apply a thin layer of oil to the entire bolt. So to do so, I'm just going to sloppily put it on the oil on the bolt body first. I take a Q-tip and I just spread it. You don't want too thick of a layer. Just a thin layer will do all across the whole bolt body. Should lubricate it just enough to keep it in working function. Oil it as best as you can. Get all the main spots that you need to. Your cam, don't forget any of that. and that is good. We will now move on to the receiver end. I also have Q-tips for that. So I'm going to take a Q-tip, take some carbon destroyer, soak this Q-tip with it. And clean the receiver. While we do that, we will also make sure to get all the way up in here and clean these lug recesses with a cotton swab by twisting and getting all that gunk cleared out of there. That is also what will keep this gun functioning. We will then take the SAO accuracy oil and soak one of these Q-tips. And apply it to the inside of the receiver walls. Now, we will begin by cleaning the chamber with a dry mop brush. It is always, important to keep the chamber dry. So we will do that by inserting this and just making sure to go into the chamber and clear it out. You don't necessarily want to get into the rifling, just where the cartridge will be seated. Make sure it's nice and dry in there. And then, that is it. You can then reassemble the gun. Put it in the safe. And it is ready to go. Thank you very much. That is all. Signing off.